by the colors of each musical period. These colors and shapes and forms, they change size and form depending on the developing of each musical period. Music in Colors focuses on the historical development of individual musical periods, theoretical concepts, forms, and influences of cultures such as the ancient Greeks and Gypsies. Communication in music is the main theme, painted in different colors through vox principalis and vox originalis, cantus firmus and discant, subject and answer, or call and response. These are just the different terms for something what in popular music, for example, we call hook, or in classical music we call a melody. So it's like the main theme. Colors and the different shapes also distinguish sacred music from secular music, multiculturalism, and characteristics features of each period. Could AI predict the future of art based on analysis and data? For example, in this series, I collected I did a research, and maybe AI could help us to predict the future. Music and language and art, they have so much in common. When I was a university student, I actually, for the first time, I painted sonata form. And this is a painting that is closely related to our competition, because not only in music, we have three major paragraphs, so to speak, or sections, but we have in essay. And that's what I created in art sonata form, because we will be talking today about our essays in art form, how they need introduction, how they need the main body, how they need the conclusion. That happens not only in essays, but as you can see, for example, on the left bottom side, the green triangles, that's the exposition, and that's exactly what is happening in essays, when we are exposing new ideas, when we are trying to create something, some new innovative melody, some kind of hook. You can see in the middle main part has completely different shapes, has also sorts of details, and that's the development section. That's our main body of our essay when we are dealing with facts, when we are doing research, when we are trying to figure out why our idea will or will not work. And then in the upper right corner, you can see a reversed version of these green triangles, and a little bit in a smaller form. And that's our conclusion. That's our conclusion for essay or even for sonata form. So as you can see, with forms, we can play on canvas, we can play on instruments. So today we will be discussing how we can create an artwork as an essay. Next slide. Before we talk about art, I would like to just remind everyone that the registration deadline for the Global Youth Competition is February 9 at 12 a.m. And our main topic is AI and the future of our world. AI, artificial intelligence, and the impact it has and will continue to have on our world. Submission deadline is February 16 at 12 a.m. And you can send submissions of essay, or in perhaps your case, artwork and video speech by email. Finalist presentations will be on March 22nd for senior group for 16-18 years old participants, and on March 23rd for junior group for 13 to 15 years old from 9 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. and it will be in hybrid form, online and on site, live stream on YouTube and Bilibili. Winners will be announced live. Announcements of the top 25 winners will be on March 29th online. Judges we will have from many prestigious universities, from University of Waterloo, Zhejiang University, the Arendelle Academy, winners of previous competitions from Brock University, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Toronto Metropolitan University, and University of Toronto. For the entries, we can either write an essay plus 3 to 4 minute video speech. And this essay with 3 to 4 minutes video speech has been discussed previously in Masterclass number 2. I would recommend you to go over and watch it, or what we'll be discussing today. We will be discussing today the second type of entry, artwork plus 3 to 4 minutes video speech. So for artwork, for example, you can use drawing, painting, collages, posters, sculptures, photographs, installations, video that can be maximum 3 minutes, or other type of art. Everything we will be discussing more in details shortly. The second part of this entry is a 3 to 4 minute video speech, which is basically a recorded speech, a summary of your artwork in about 200 words. In this video, you have to explain what your artwork is about. So each entry will explore the potential benefits as well as the possible harm and threats that AI could pose to our world from diverse perspectives. So what is considered a visual art? It can be painting, it can be drawing, it can be printmaking, sculpture, ceramics, architecture, photography, video, filmmaking, design, crafts, and more. We can use for this artwork, for example, different techniques or styles. We can use drawing techniques such as hatching or cross-hatching or stippling, sometimes called pointillism or blending. We can use styles as divisionism, action painting, anamorphosis, aerial perspective, or chiaroscuro. So let's talk about drawing techniques. If we want to use drawing techniques, each drawing technique can be associated with certain ideas or with certain feelings. For example, if we use techniques like hatching or cross-hatching or stippling, you can match these drawing techniques to your main idea. For example, you can create different textures that can reflect your statement, your thesis. The technique of cross-hatching, because we are crossing the lines, it might represent a complexity of your thesis. Or for example, hatching can be as a straight line explained something in a simple concept. Stippling, the dots or the pointillism might be related to impermanence, or scribbling can create ambiguity, and circling might be finding for us, we can search for a solution, and the blending could be associated with harmony. If you, for example, would choose to use divisionism, Divisionism is the style of painting defined by the separation of colors into individual dots or patches. So you might think about your sections or about your paragraphs. Maybe those tiny dots and patches might be helping you to divide your artwork into sections and paragraphs. In action painting, we can use gestures. Action painting is a style of painting in which paint is spontaneously splashed or smeared onto canvas. So if you would like, if you need a main idea in an action, and for example, it can have a psychological or mental effect, these kind of splashes that you can use on your paintings. Then you can use action painting. Anamorphosis, as you can see from the picture, this is actual street. Anamorphosis is an image that can be only, it can be only be interpreted when viewed from a particular angle. So, for example, you stand on street, you can see lava only from a certain angle. You have to find it, so it can be projected exactly as in this photograph. It can be used, this kind of anamorphosis, it can be used on the streets to demonstrate the point of the main idea, such as interaction between people and nature, or between people and the environment, if you would like to talk about environment, natural sciences, how AI can help humans. Chiaroscuro is a very, very old type of drawing and painting that we can still use even for this competition. Rembrandt was known using this chiaroscuro, but we also can use it. For example, as we know, chiaroscuro is the use of strong contrasts between light and shadow. So not only we can use contrast between light and shadow, but we also we can combine, let's say, 3 paintings. We call it a triptych. So you might consider triptych for presenting past, present, and future. How how your major idea was affected in the past, how you see it now, and how we might see it in the future. So triptych and chiaroscuro might be a good idea, a good way to present maybe your main idea. Or we can treat this triptych and chiaroscuro as an essay with introduction. So you can start on first painting your introduction, then you can explain us the main body in the middle, and your third painting can be your conclusion. Another way to use methods such as aerial perspective, which is a method of creating the illusion of depth. For example, you might consider using aerial perspective if you want to show something that is near as present tense, what is happening now. So everything is clear because it's happening now. And further away might be the future tense, might be what AI might help us to develop, or what how we can interact with AI in certain fields. You can also reverse this and use closer shapes or forms as present or future objects, and more distant objects as present and past, something that is fading, something that is we can vaguely see it and remember it. So for our artwork, I highly recommend to use the color wheel. As you can see, we have in this color wheel, we have primary colors, yellow, blue, and red, but also secondary colors or intermediate colors. You might choose for your painting what is your color palette, what your colors might be describing, how they should be associated to your main ideas or to your paragraphs. For example, if you choose analogous color scheme, you can see it in the first row of those three circles. You can choose, for example, 4 colors such as yellow, yellow-orange, orange, and red-orange. So maybe with these colors, you will be, you might try to explain your main idea, or those colors might be explaining your middle point, main point, or your development, or your conclusion. You can also pick complementary colors. Those are the 2 colors on the different sides. For example, blue-green and red-orange, or let's say yellow-green and red-violet. So you might use that. Or we can also use split complementary colors. Also, besides colors, we can use hue, tint, and shade. And we will be talking about this more in detail. But the basic idea is you need to start thinking what kind of colors you would like to choose. Another way to describe your main idea, to your artistic essay, would be through monochromatic painting or drawing. Mono means one, so you can use just one color, and you can use the variation of colors, what we call tone, tint, shade. So our one color, the hue, a pure pigment, could be, for example, orange. And if you add to this pure pigment just a little bit of gray, you might create a tone, and that already gives us a different vibe. If you add to a pure pigment white, then we will get something lighter, something what we call a tint. And if we add to a hue a black, we will create a shade. You also might consider to use for monochromatic paintings, you can use 4 sections in your piece to explain your art in steps or in paragraphs that you would do if you would write an essay. So how your main idea can be changed through different monochromatic color schemes, and how you can develop over time, and how you can find a solution to your chosen problem. We should think before we start painting or drawing or sculpting, we should think about shapes and forms. We can use organic and geometric shapes. Organic shapes would be, for example, leaves on the tree, and geometric will be, for example, square or triangle. Shapes have 2 dimensions, height and width, and the forms have 3 dimensions, height, width, and depth. So try to match the shapes and forms according to your main idea. When we talk about space, we always create in art positive and negative space. So what is positive and negative space in art? An image that has a main focal point. For example, if you look at the first picture of those 2 on the left side, the positive space is described by the vase, the black vase that you can see right? It can be so the positive space could be an object, a person, or an animal. That's the positive space. And any empty space in a background, like the white space you can see, that's your negative space. But what if we reverse it? What else we can see? For example, we can have double meaning in your paintings, in your artwork. Can you see besides those two vases, black and white? Can you see actually two faces facing each other? Because the shape of the vase is actually the shape of the face. If we could go back for just a moment. We have the third painting on the bottom, and you can see how you can transfer positive space into negative, because in this famous image, we can see on the top flying birds, but those birds are described as a positive space. But eventually, if you look down, the birds are creating negative space, the white, and what pops is actually the fish. So literally from positive space, we can change it to negative space. So you can think how from negative to positive, we can show how AI can help people and turn a negative state into a positive one. Every art form has certain types of feelings. We might say that we have even abstract forms, but we can look at the form, and we can always describe certain feelings in arts. And we can describe in artwork, we can describe it through the lines or shapes, forms, colors, space, value, and texture. All these elements of art can be associated with feelings. The elements can help to depict a mood and psychological state. For example, if you use in your artwork zigzag lines, that might present anxiety or confusion. But at the same time, zigzag lines, they might portray a positive energy. Curved lines, if you use curved lines, they are more harmonious and elegant. It can represent the ease and comfort. If you use horizontal lines, that can be presenting something peaceful, quiet, calm, or even distanced. And vertical lines, many times we can use for balance, for support, or for strength. So connect the shapes, forms, and colors of your artwork with feelings that can represent your main idea. Create your own voice. We can also talk in the next slide if I can ask, or the next slide. We can talk about story. What is your story? Your art is your story. Your art is your essay. So start imagining. Imagine, and then try to visualize it. What you imagine, you can visualize in many, many ways. And then there is only one little step further when you can create your story. If we compare artwork versus essay, that's what actually we will be working with. We will be talking about main ideas, how we can express in the artwork, or how we can express it in essay. If those participants who are choosing essay, they will be writing 300 to 500 words. So what are your words? Where are your 300 to 500 words on canvases or on the paper? You need to think about your introduction. You need to think about your main body and conclusion. For example, you can use, since you are using artwork plus your 3 to 4 minute video speech, which is your summary of your artwork, maybe in a video, you can introduce your main idea. Or it does not have to be introduced through the video speech. As I mentioned before, you can use, for example, triptych, the 3 section or sections, literally 3 paintings. Or you can use the format of 4 sections that can be described as your 4 paragraphs, 3 to 5 major points. So you can pick if you would like to use introduction in an artistic form or as a part of your summary. But your main body, those are your shapes and forms and objects and colors. And that's what we can use in essay as words and sentences. Your sections are your paragraphs. Through the artwork, whatever you create, we can find a solution in both, in artwork, and we have to also in both find in artwork and in essay. And what is your conclusion? Again, if you use a triptych or 4-section painting, then you can use it within your artwork, but you also can use conclusion only through your 3 to 4 minute video speech. So before we make an art piece, what do we need to do? Think. Think. It took me 1 year to think about a history of music on canvas. No one's done it before. It's so easy to paint, but you have to convince us about your major idea, why we should do what you are proposing, why us as humans, we should maybe even develop further your ideas. So try to visualize. How would you picture your main idea? And how would you create a message through those colors? Think about past, think about future, think about presence. What is happening now, and how we can associate our present time with colors, shapes, and forms. But how do you see it in a future? Just because it's a future, do we see it in geometrical forms? Or it can be, we can still use organic shapes. How you want to perceive it, how you want us to understand you. And also, what is very important, you have to choose medium. Are you going to use a pencil? Are you going to use a paint? We will talk about the medium. So think, visualize, and create. Now, media. What kind of media we can use in our artwork? Probably everyone knows these media: acrylics, watercolors. Oil paint is time consuming, so it's challenging a little bit, but you can use pastels, you can use tempera, you can use chalk or ink, you can use charcoal or graphite. It is up to you, but think and visualize how certain medium might help you to represent your thesis, your points, your main points. You know that, for example, watercolor might represent, has that has that transparent, has that transparency comparing to acrylics or tempera. So you might think what your paragraphs, your main points, how strong they are. Are they transparent? Or are they dense? Are they intense? What kind of colors you would like to use? Or it is more harmonious. So you want to use the blending through the pastels. Or you might even use mixed media. Maybe you would like to use watercolor with acrylics. Or you can choose between different media. How would you like to mix it? So this is a global youth competition with 2 possible entries. And today we are discussing an artwork. This is your entry, individual entry, but you can still collaborate. It will be your individual entry, which means you have to start and finish your artwork independently. You can individually create an artwork with innovative details, for example. You also can collaborate in a way that you can make a sketch and collaborate with others by sharing your sketch and asking, for example, your friends to paint your sketch in different colors, the way how they imagine the future world. You can, in that way, we can see multiple interesting views through different colors. However, this is still your individual artwork. So how to be innovative and original? Be bold, be creative, and breathe. What does it mean to be bold in artwork? Use vivid colors, bright colors, for example, strong colors. Use, for example, expression. How to be creative. Try to experiment. Try to experiment with colors or even shapes. You can even use texture in an unusual way. You can use unusual materials. You don't have to be limited to paints. For example, you can use, for your collages, you can use textile, you can use screws, you can use different objects. It doesn't have to be tied to drawings or paintings. And breathe. You know how when we say sometimes less is more? You might create an artwork that has so many details, and we might look at it from far away and we will be lost because it's so much information. It's like with essay. Your essays the essays of those participants who are choosing to write essay instead of artwork, they can use only 300 to 500 words. Of course, they based on their research, they could use thousands of words, but they are limited to 300 to 500. And in those 300 to 500 words, you don't want to, in your summary, to introduce us 10 points. That will be too many. You would have to speak too fast. You would have to just quickly introduce us without more explanations. Maybe we will lose some facts, or maybe we will lose your explanations because you wanted to say too much. So you have to be careful about your details and let your shapes and colors and forms or objects, whatever art form you pick, it has to breathe. It has to have a space. You can choose even negative space to become a positive. So make sure that before you actually touch canvases or paper, that you think and visualize so you can decide ahead of time how much is enough. You can also use what we call interdisciplinary approach. How, for example, we can use AI not only in education, health, science, social media, art, sports, politics, business, and in other fields, but how we can, for example, combine few fields together, and how AI can help. For example, we can combine education with science, or let's say healthcare or health with sports, or we can use politics and sports, or social media and arts, or politics and business. So think in a big picture. Maybe you would like to only concentrate on one field. That's okay too. But there is always a way to explore multiple ideas or multiple fields together. Now, for sure, you have heard of Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's painting. And you probably heard about Jules Verne, the famous writer. So what can we do? What can we do through art and language? What can we do through science, literature, and art? For example, Da Vinci, he created the earliest drawings for an aerial machine, what we can almost call it as a first helicopter. It wasn't a first helicopter, but he put the seeds for that. He was thinking about it. He didn't create a helicopter, but he was thinking about it. He used a screw that would help perhaps that drawing, what you can see there, that's Da Vinci's drawing. He was thinking about it. Do we have helicopters now? Certainly we do. Jules Verne, in his famous book called Thousand Leagues Under the Seas, he was thinking about a submarine or some kind of machine that we can explore the ocean, what exists under the ocean. He was just thinking. He is the father of science fiction. And he was thinking how we can make it better. Do we have submarines? Of course we do. And Holland, who created a submarine, he was inspired by Verne's book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So also Jules Verne, he put the seeds. Maybe you are you are our future. Maybe you can plant the seeds, and your imagination and your drawings can change the direction for new creations. So, how do we make our world a better place? It begins with you and your creative, artistic ideas. So I hope now that if you have some questions, I can answer your questions.
So thank you, Mrs. Ben Lassoued. So thank you for the very insightful presentation about arcs and about how to send messages through a piece of artwork. So everybody, especially the competitors, so now you have some ideas about how to paint a picture, how to create a piece of artwork, which is not limited to drawing or painting, but you can combine, like kind of interdisciplinary, approach to make a piece of artwork. You can use animation, you can use a collage to put your own pictures and photo together. The most important thing is that you use your own products, you use your own thinking and how to put them together to make it meaningful and how to persuade the audiences, that you are sending a very meaningful message. Again, the topic for the Global Youth Challenge 2024, keep in mind that is about AI and the future of the world. So we will look at AI, the artificial intelligence, from different perspectives. You can talk about AI and its impact, negative, positive, on education, on politics, on business, on history, from different perspectives. Of course, within like 3 to 4 minute video speech or an essay of about 300 to 400 words, you cannot tell the people everything about AI. So you can pick one perspective, one area, and talk about it, or you can pick 2 or 3, but do not include nearly everything into your topic. Okay, so we do not really look at your essay, your video from every perspective, from all the perspective. We will look at maybe one or maybe a couple of perspectives that you discuss in your product, in your submission. I hope that everybody's clear about this. So now it's the Q&A section. Please feel confident to ask questions. If you are concerned about the topic or if you don't know how to do. So it's time for you to ask questions, please. Turn on the microphone if you like, or you can send a message or a question through the chat box.
So my question is, how can I express that idea that I have in a more clear way?
How to express your idea in more clear way? Am I right?
Yeah, that's my question.
So, for example, you can define your idea through the colors. The colors can be associated with certain feelings, or for example, you can define it through, first of all, through the lines, right? Through the forms and shapes. It can be abstract, but we need to understand your movement, where are you going to, what is your starting point, what is your focal point. So you have to divide, if it's, for example, painting or drawing, you can think about your main idea to make it clearer, that you will place if it's an object, for example, you place it, and doesn't have to be placed, and it's not recommended to place it exactly in the middle, maybe a little bit on the side, and you pick very bright and clear colors. If you are picking clear colors, clear lines, that already talks by itself. So that's how you can make ideas clear. But if you start blending, that's when we receive impression that it's something more ambiguous or vague. We cannot see it clearly. So if you present your idea with clear lines, you define it clearly. It doesn't matter if it's an organic or a geometric shape. You can just the clarity of your for example, drawing technique. Or if you use the brush, if you have clear lines and you can define it clearly, that's how you can express your idea more clearly. Once you start blending, once you start using more details, then you are adding more to your idea. So you just have to be careful and decide when is enough. So it can it can breathe your artwork, and we can clearly understand. So you just have to place either your shapes or forms or objects. You have to clearly define it. You can sketch it, for example, first. Then you pick which medium you want to use, and what colors you want to use and how you want to express it. But expressing clearly your main ideas means drawing or painting clearly lines, or using separation between the colors rather than blending, etc.
So is that clear for you, Goma?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so I have another question from Ronaldo Santos. Is it possible to add a phrase in the artwork, or it must be completely visual?
Well, we do allow, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anton, but we do allow posters, right? And posters, that's another type of artwork that we can use. We can use different designs for posters, which means it includes actually words. So, you know, when you do posters, they have to be, you have to be very clear about the choice of your words. You don't want to create long sentences, for example, right? In posters, we only use symbols, or we use keywords. So yes, you can use the keywords. You can emphasize through the words, but you should avoid, definitely you should avoid paragraphs. It should be more in an artistic way.
So I want to add a little bit information on the question, because sometimes you draw a picture, right? A competitor decided to draw a picture to make a poster, a flyer. It's not enough for them because they want to use like a short description of their artwork. So I feel free to do so. Of course, you cannot draw a picture and then you can add the whole essay next to the flyer or the poster. But feel free to include a short description so that it support the message that you want to convey. So you have confidence to do it. So I hope that is clear for Ronaldo Santos. Okay, because if somebody draw a picture and then they also include an essay, 300 to 400 words, so that means you will, course twice as much work for the judges for the board of selection. So try not to do it, but a short description, again, a short description of your product should be okay. Any other question? Please raise your hand, turn on your mic, and ask the question. Any questions? Oh, we are waiting for the question, please. So it's all about our artwork. So in the previous years, we received a lot of submission in the form of a visual artwork. That mean participant, competitors trying to draw a picture, but they didn't try to use like animation, or they didn't try to include a product from different means of media. So this year, we encourage students to combine, to try to make use of technology, because the topic is about AI. The way that you use different types of media also means that, we try to make it clear that AI, artificial intelligence, is really important. It's really affecting every aspect of the world, including a competition like the Global Youth Challenge. And you know what? The most important thing is your voice, the message that you want to send to the world about AI.
And if I can add to it, there are two more important components. With the voice of your artwork actually comes your real voice, because you have to describe and explain your artwork in the short 3 to 4 minutes video. So I would highly, highly recommend you before submission that you would try over and over, because over and over your video speech, because it's very important to hear your real voice and see what you were emphasizing, what you are trying to explain. So make sure that your artwork is not only your artwork is strong, but that we can clearly understand your message. What is your message of your artwork? So I recommend you to practice your speech before recording a few times. Don't leave things for the last minute. Sometimes it takes time, and you would feel more comfortable to maybe hear your own voice, record your own voice, and listen to yourself how it sounds. And maybe you can start looking at your artwork while you are listening your own voice, if it's actually matching what you are trying to express visually. Because the sound of your voice also matters, your intonation, how certain words you want to emphasize more. They have you want to accent them. You want to make them as strong as your artwork. Because if you will be talking about, for example, anxiety, and your voice will be not matching what you are talking about, we will be a little bit confused. So try to make sure that you spend some time on the recording. And I always recommend to also practice and sketch before you do your actual work, so you don't get to the point that you are already working on a big canvases, and then you realize you wanted to change it. So it's good to have always the sketch before you do, just like you do the essay. It's good to have a draft before before you submit your work.
Okay. So you still have time from now until the deadline of submission. Don't be in a rush. Just do it again and again. My strong suggestion for you is that you may ask somebody, your friends, your relative, your teachers, your tutor, your parents, to look at your draft piece of artwork, to look at your essay, and then they will give you some suggestion. From that, you can improve your submission. Just before the deadline, a couple of days, you can feel free, you feel confident, and then you click submit. Then it will be the final really good version. And then we would like to see the best version of your submission. Remember, we still have time to improve the submission. Now it's time for you to collect all the information, trying to think about how to send the message, not to the board of selection from the Global Youth Challenge, but from the world. You are putting your voice into the world. You want the world to hear your messages because you are young people, the current and the near future generation of the world. Okay, so you will be the generation that is affected the most by AI, by artificial intelligence. Now we have another question, Zuzana. What is modern art? What do you mean by modern art?
That's a very good question. Modern art, it can have so many forms and it can be expressed in so many ways. So modern art is everything that is different from previous periods or previous centuries, or something that that has more resemblance of our century. For example, what you see behind me, that's a modern art. that's a description of classical music, rock, pop, and jazz. So it's an abstract form, but on these canvases, I painted in oil. Every color, every line has certain meaning. It takes a long time to describe the history of music, but it is possible to paint it. It has meanings. For example, for example, here I have pouring colors of white, yellow, red, blue with white, and this is a chord, what we call in music chord progression. Just like we have in art, for example, the primary colors, right? We have the yellow, blue, and red. Those are the primary colors, and we can create any other color from these three colors, right? We can have secondary colors. In music, we have three chords. We call them tonic, subdominant, dominant. There are three chords, or CFG in the key of C, that are heavily used. And they are heavily used not only throughout the sonatas or symphonies, but also in rock music. And a lot of times, for example, where we start, that's where we end. We call those chords tonic chords. And between, of course, we can have other colors and other melodies or other hooks that we can use. Here, this is this one white line in contemporary 21st century music. This one white line actually represents John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds of silence. He wrote for any instrument. I don't know if you know, but for example, John Cage was a phenomenal American composer who composed silence. So he came to the publisher with the empty paper, and he said, "So that's my music," and it has a meaning, because this silence. What can we hear in a silence? What can we hear in a silence? Just close your eyes and listen right now. What can you listen? I can hear, for example, the sound of cars from outside. I can even hear the sound of the lights here. So there is no such thing as silence unless we are in a chamber that we would only hear the highest and the lowest frequency, what we can hear. But pretty much this silence can be anything, which means, and that would make me even think the silence is like a light, right? In light, we have the light absorbs all the colors. So it's up to us throughout the periods how we can choose, how we can develop the colors of music, or the colors in the art, how we can develop how much we want to use. I love this painting because I think in 21st century, we are using so many colors. It's our world is like literally colorful, I would say, comparing to other periods. But yes, in every century we have certain colors, and it's up to us like how you want to describe them. Those 4 minutes and 33 seconds just I would like to mention that when I was preparing my concert, piano concert, I actually played those 4 minutes and 33 seconds of John Cage's music, but I also asked the guys who were the tech guys who were putting lights on me on stage to divide this piece into three sections, because for my concert, for example, I had to use three grand pianos. I had works for solo, I had the duets, and I also had something called a prepared piano that John Cage created. So I literally had to put screws and nuts, or you can sometimes in his compositions use bamboo or different objects in a piano, and once you play those keys where those objects are, your piano would be prepared and would sound like a percussive instrument. So I needed three pianos, and when I played his 4 minutes and 33 seconds, my first section, I was sitting at the first grand piano with green light, which expresses, explores the hook, the main idea. So I was sitting under the green light for about a minute. Then I moved to another grand piano, and I was exploring this idea and developing through the red light, through more fiery section. And then I moved to the third piano, and my third section was red. I correct myself. The second one was yellow. So it was more, it was yellow, and the third was the red one. So I divided his piece into three colors and three sections. So in modern art, you can use many things, many materials, many styles, many techniques that reflect your idea, your message.
There another very interesting question. Is it possible to repaint, redraw, reproduce somebody else's artwork in my style, and I use this for submission?
I would not recommend it. How to put it? In arts, and it can be visual arts or in music, we call it, how we can renovate houses. We have a house and we can always make it better and prettier. But is it original? Is it unique? There have been so many artists and so many composers that they would reproduce something already existing. Was it better? I can say that sometimes it was better, but was it original and unique? Definitely not. We can also discuss what is original and unique, because if you look at, for example, classical music versus jazz, what is important? I actually wrote about it in my research monograph. I published a book by Peter Lang, publisher in Germany. It's called Diana Krall, Unique Phenomena, a reception of unique phenomena. And I was discussing interpretation of classical musicians and jazz players. As you know, in classical music, we have the music that is it is written, and we're supposed to just express it in our way. So that music already exists. We only change the colors. We change the interpretation, right? So we might be having competitions and judging that interpretation, not necessarily the piece, the composition. We already know that piece is great, right? So we can judge the interpretation versus jazz players. They are more innovative on spot, right? Yes, they have their riffs, their patterns that they can still reuse. And there is also that original melody, original hook, original main melody that they can change slightly, they can add, or they can reverse. There are unlimited options in terms of improvisation of what you can use. So the colors are also different in jazz comparing to classical interpretation, because for a classical interpretation, you have to practice so you can convince someone that your colors are correct ones, versus in jazz, you are introduced almost instantly to new options. So in terms of recycling or reinterpreting, yes, there is a possibility for that, but I would highly encourage you to think more innovatively and creatively to create something that is original, that is only yours, that you came up with that. Because original artwork, it will be hard to see the value. What would be the value just because you change the art for this specific competition? AI, how AI can help. Like, I would really encourage you to rather think about original way and more innovative, rather than trying to just change already what exists.
Now, thank you, Zuzana, for clarification. So in fact, if you look at the requirement for your submission, you will see that there are a number of criteria. And then we also emphasize originality and no plagiarism. So for the essay, usually some people may commit plagiarism. It means you copy, you use somebody else's ideas. And then in artwork, and somebody look at another person's artwork, like Picasso, and then they will add some more features, into the artwork, and they call it belonging to themselves. So in fact, you can do it in real life, and somebody can do it in real life, but for submission, and then we will look at that as violating the requirements of the competition. And we should want to remind all the competitors that the judges, the board of selection, are the people who are experts in AI, who are professors from university. So when we look at a piece of artwork, which is a reproduction, a renovation of somebody else's artwork, or a copy of somebody else XA, we know it right away. And then, of course, the participant is violating the requirement. Okay, so we appreciate that you submit your artwork, your XA, which is original, which is your own voice. Of course, you can use technology to help you to brush up, on your submission. Like you can try to use some kind of software, some kind of application to help you to improve your vocabulary, your language, your structure. It's okay. Okay. But again, when we look at your submission, we see it right away that you are using somebody else's artwork or XA. Okay. Um, so we try to use technology to support it, but don't let it control us. That is really important. Any other questions? A good question for the live final. Should we dress up formally for the video? Zuzana, what do you think?
Okay. I think you are already decided to do the artwork because artists, they always want to feel comfortable explaining the artwork. So I think you can maybe use casual outfit. It doesn't have to be formal. But definitely it cannot be completely laid back. So if you can maybe just use the casual, that would be okay. Correct me if I'm wrong, Anton, but I think casual will do it.
In terms of dressing, we have the two phrases, dress up or dress down. You want to dress up, of course, you want to look very handsome, very pretty in front of people's eyes. So for the competition, you look, right? The judges, the judging panel are professors, are professional people, the expert. So trying to be casual, but not too casual. Like to choose a background which does not look bad. For example, if you make a video trying to use uh, the background which look good, like Zuzana is using a picture behind her, I am using the virtual background of AI and the future of our world competition. So it does not distract other people. No, this one is okay. You can wear, you don't need to have a tie, you don't need to really dress enough, but casual, but not too casual. Okay. When you send a video, of course, we will look at that, but if you're too informal, that not be okay. Any other questions? We still have like about 5 minutes for some final questions from you, some concerns before we wrap up this section. So we are waiting for your questions, please.
If I can add, I would like you to maybe think about AI from now on before submission, before you submit your artwork. Not only how we can, as humans, how we can interact with AI and perhaps sometimes be worried if AI is getting ahead of us and we might be, I don't know, losing jobs in certain businesses because AI can do it faster or better. But see the positive side of AI, how maybe you can create something new and it can be original and innovative, something that AI can help us humans how we can make things better. Not that AI will do it for us, but perhaps there might be another way how AI can serve us and tell us how we can make it as human better. So in other words, the AI is working for us, not like sometimes we feel like we are working for AI because simply it looks the AI is faster or better than us. So maybe you can start thinking about the different perspectives, how we can look at AI, how we can benefit from AI, and what is important, not only what impact AI has on us, but how together we can make this world better.
Thank you, Zuzana. Of course, we cannot run away. We cannot get away from the influence of AI. But again, AI is the product of human beings. We created AI, not AI created us. That is the fact. So now it's time to make use of AI to make our life better. But do not let AI control our life, control our originality, our human characteristic. That is the message for today. So to wrap up this morning section, thank you, Zuzana and Lassoued, for a very interesting presentation with a lot of insight regarding, artwork and visual art, because I know that Zuzana is an expert in, visual art, and then she's also teaching visual art, um, media, interdisciplinary media at the Arendelle Academy and then other organization. So just to remind you, we still have another section, another master workshop. We call it Master Workshop number 4, which will take place on Saturday morning next week, the same time today. Okay, it's 8:30 till 10 a.m. Toronto time. So always check your time differences in your home country. It may be 6 p.m. in your home country. It may be 10 a.m. 10 p.m. in your home country like Vietnam or China. And next week section, we are very honored to invite a champion, the Global Youth Champion of 2021, Craig Chen-Sin Liu, who is really popular now in the USA. And it is very surprising that she's only now 16 years of age. And she did a really, really good job. She was selected to be the champion of the Global Youth Challenge among hundreds of submission, hundreds of participants. And she even wrote a book. And then she's an active member of a lot of youth societies and then non-government organization. She will come and share her experience and her expertise as a champion, as the first place winner with all the competitors this year. And if you are belonging to the junior group, I mean, you are age 13 to 15, and then you will be in the live final, and you will see her, Great Chen-Sin Liu, as a judge. She will challenge you with her insight and her, point of view as a judge. Okay, so trying to get back here on Zoom, the same Zoom ID, the same time to join the Master Workshop number 4. So thank you everybody for joining us. Of course, you can also watch this section on YouTube, and then we try to send it to your email addresses too. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Zuzana, for a very, very nice presentation today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so
Goodbye.
much.
Goodbye and good night and good morning.
Goodbye.